Hi, gratitude seekers, and welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today, I have a really special guest for you, all the way from nature, because he is a lover of nature and of sustainability and of greenness. It's Greg Peterson. He's a green living and sustainability innovator who is well known regionally. He has appeared extensively on television and radio and is a frequent guest on columnists for publications. His mission is to inspire people to embrace their own greenness, which he does daily by living what he speaks. Greg, can you tell us more about yourself and what you're actually doing?
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Sure.
So I live in Phoenix, Arizona. That's in the middle of the desert in the United States Southwest. It'll get up to 120 in the summertime, which is about 46, 48 C. So it gets pretty hot here.
Oh.
And the growing season, the cool thing is, we have a growing season that goes all year. So I live at a place called the Urban Farm. It's my home. It's a third of an acre right in the middle of the city. If you got up on the roof, which is right over there, and stood up there and looked, there's houses for 50 miles all the way around. So literally I am in the middle of an urban area. And the Urban Farm is, I always love this question. People ask me, how many acres do you have? And it's like, I wish. I have a third of an acre, 1/3 of an acre, which is about 80 feet wide and about 160 feet deep. And on the property here, we've got 3 different kinds of solar panels. We've got edible landscaping in the front yard and the backyard. There's about 80 fruit trees here on the property.
Wow.
And and we do rainwater and gray water harvesting. I like to call it an environmental showcase home.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, because what I do is I invite the public in periodically and ask them to, look around, and I show it off and answer their questions and plant the seeds for them to go be able to do this kind of stuff for themselves.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And
Sorry, you were saying.
And about a year and 2 months ago, we started our own podcast, and congratulations to you. That's actually where we met. We met on Podcasters Paradise.
Yeah.
And we started our own podcast 15 months ago, which is rocking. It's called the Urban Farm Podcast. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So people can learn about everything from eating healthy to living healthy to growing your own food and rainwater harvesting and so on and so on.
This is wonderful.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome. And I love the fact that you've built something so wonderful and beautiful in your own backyard, and that you're connecting there with nature. Because one of the most mentioned ways of connecting with gratitude is nature, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
By the way, what is gratitude for you? What does gratitude mean for you, Greg?
Oh, I don't know that I know what it means. I'll tell you what it feels like. How's that sound?
Oh, perfect.
Feels like taking a great big deep breath like that and being present right here, right now, and appreciating that which is around me. My favorite citrus tree is right here. I am so grateful for this tree. It gives me, maybe 100 pounds of oranges every year. I was going to say peaches, but I've got a peach tree out front. It gives me about 50 pounds of peaches. So that's the one piece of the gratitude. The other piece of the gratitude, which I just recently discovered. So I'm 55 years old, and I have played in the arena of positive thought and that kind of stuff for about 40 years. And one of the things that I discovered in the last 3 years or so is it's not just about thinking gratitude, it's about feeling it. And actually on a cellular level, feeling grateful and having, right now I'm tingling a little bit because I'm feeling grateful. That cellular connection actually rocketed my gratitude to the moon when that happened. It was a magical event, happened about 3 years ago. And when I discovered that gratitude and positive thinking isn't just all about thinking, it's about feeling it as well.
Exactly. And this is where the value is. And we actually want to feel things, not to think things.
Yeah.
Thinking helps with feelings. And if we think about a certain thing, that makes us feel something.
Mm-hmm.
We actually want the feeling. And this is wonderful that you actually showed us and you actually felt it with us. And this is wonderful.
Thanks.
Do you have a certain word, some certain words of wisdom, quote that you love about gratitude?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this for the past couple of weeks since we chatted and decided to do this. And there's so many. I mean, there's the simple one, don't worry, be happy. Um, One of the things that I have discovered for me in my life is that the universe always takes care of me. There's the conversation that I have with my students and people that listen to me is that the lack lives in one place on the planet and only one place, between our ears. Lack is a human construct. And when I look to nature, there's so much abundance here in nature. Like I said, my citrus tree here gives me 100 pounds of fruit every year, right? So, that's some gratitude appreciation that I have. So I was driving down the road, and I've been thinking about quotes, and I was driving down the road the other day, and on the side of this van was this saying, and it said, "It's a great day to have a great day." And it's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's absolutely what I'm talking about.
That's
So
so cool.
that's my quote. It's a great day to have a great day.
Very beautiful, very
You know,
beautiful.
the other thing I discovered a while ago, maybe, I don't know, some years ago, is that when I get up in the morning, I have a choice. I have a choice to be happy or not. And often when I'm out in the world, people will say to me, "Gosh, Greg, you're always so happy. What's going on?" And that's what I tell them. I say, "Listen, here's the deal. I have a choice every single morning. Choose. Be happy." And I deal with, I've been pretty open about this. I've had Lyme disease, and Lyme disease is a chronic, nasty disease. And a lot of people with Lyme disease are disabled. They can't work. And even in the face of that, I choose happy every morning because I don't feel great every morning. I didn't feel great when I got up this morning, but I choose happy. And what I've found for myself is that in that choosing of happy, it makes me more happy. It's like there's this tidal wave that comes with that. So it took a while. Maybe, a few years to get here, but once I got here, it's like, oh, now that's an easy choice. Don't worry, be happy. It's a great day to have a great day, like that. I could
This
go
is
on.
so inspiring. Yeah, thank you. Um, by the way, do you have a certain experience in your life that made you into a more grateful person?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so on February 14th, 2013, I met the love of my life.
Wow.
On Valentine's Day. It wasn't our choice to meet on Valentine's Day. It just kind of happened that way. And her name is Heidi, and she's just a delight. And we have so much fun together. And the meaning of life for me just got a whole lot richer when she came into my life. And we have fun every day, and we laugh every day, and it's just like awesome. It's been 4 years now, and I can imagine another 30 years ahead of us having fun and playing, and yeah.
That's so wonderful. That's so
Yeah.
wonderful. And
Then the other piece is this place where I live. I've lived here for 28 years. The urban farm. I moved here 28 years ago in October, and it gives me an opportunity to see nature in action, to work in the flow of nature. I've known for a very long time that there's something really wrong with the way we're living on the planet and the way we're eating on the planet. Our food system is, especially in our country, in the United States, the food system is corrupt. It puts out bad food. It makes people sick. And, having an opportunity to connect people with their food in a place like this is a tremendous piece of gratitude for me, and a tremendous piece of love. I just can't say enough about that.
Yeah, I've also experienced this, eating something from your own garden or directly from the garden.
Yes.
It's like it fills you up with energy. And also fills you up with positive energy and with
Yep.
gratitude. It's really, really interesting how
Yeah.
this works, and you feel, like you said, you feel more connected with earth, with nature.
Yep.
And this is amazing. And you say that people can do this in their backyard, or?
Oh yeah. Backyard, front yard. If you have a pot on the front porch. So a few years ago, I actually have lived here 27 years, and I took 1 year off. And on my 1 year off of not living here at the urban farm, I rented a small townhome nearby, and it had a 100 square foot back patio. It's like 10 by 10. And I grew a bunch of food there. So you don't need a lot of acreage to grow food. You just need good creativity and a willingness to eat your own tomato, baby.
That's so cool. So do you have some tips for our listeners on how they can do this, how they can shift their perspective and create something like this in their front or in their backyard?
Gratitude or urban farming? Let's start with gratitude. I already mentioned a couple, and this is a really important one. Choose happy every day. Don't forget that there's no lack in the world. Just choose happy every day. As far as starting your own urban farm, really it's as easy as, putting a pot with a tomato plant in it, and, grow your own tomatoes, because there is nothing better than growing something and eating it. It's just the best.
Yeah, I remember the smell of the tomato when it's on the plant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such an amazing smell, yeah.
Yeah. On urbanfarm.org, if you go to urbanfarm.org, we always are giving lots of free webinars, and we have some paid classes, and, there's free content to learn. That's where you can find Urban Farm podcasts, like that.
Wonderful. So, Greg, if you could go back in time to a time and place when you weren't so grateful about your life, what would you tell your younger self
Oh my
about
gosh.
gratitude?
Chill out, get over it, pick happy. It's okay. There's, it's going to be okay. I kind of alluded to this a little earlier. The universe is always taking care of me. From a financial, I've been self-employed for 41 years.
Wow.
That means I've had to pay my house payment, pay the rent, make sure the utilities are paid. And I've never been late on my house payment. I've never had the utilities turned off. And a big part of that, and I discovered this a few years ago, a big part of this is just the universe, handles things. It delivers, it shows up, and it always has. And that comes from this concept of losing the lack consciousness, because it's this lack consciousness that keeps us stuck. It keeps us in lack. And by choosing happy every day, and choosing prosperity every day, eventually it turns itself around. And it was just 10 years ago. In fact, here's another one for you. So y'all know that that monkey mind, that voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? You can't do that to be so great. So here's what happened. This happened in 2004, 2005. So what's that? Oh my gosh, like 12 years ago. So this voice is going off up here, right? And this is what I did. Excuse me, shut up. What I'm doing is much more important than whatever the hell you have to say. Excuse me, but that's what I said. And interestingly, it shut it off. That voice basically went away, because it's that voice that limits us, that says we can't do it. So I recently had an experience. I'm a long distance runner. And when I say long distance, I mean half marathon. So 13.1 miles, what's that? 20 kilometers or something like that. Is that right? 20 kilometers?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, anyways. And I am what they call a legacy runner, and I actually race walk these days because running doesn't like my body. So I'm a legacy runner for this particular race. And a legacy runner means that I've run every single one of them. So this year I ran my 14th annual run of 13.1 miles. And earlier in the year, I said to myself, well, maybe I'm not going to do it this year. And you know what happened? This voice chimed in and said, the heck you're not. So this voice became a positive for good thing for me. Wow. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I attribute that to, being grateful and really staying positive and happy, so that my monkey mind voice is now on my team rather than against me.
This is so inspiring. Like, I know for myself, being self-employed and wanting to do all kinds of great things in this world, it's not really easy to keep that monkey mind
right
all the time. Like, okay, but what the hell are you going to survive doing that?
That's the lack coming up.
Yeah,
that
totally.
Is the lack. Because here's my question for you: has it ever not shown up, the universe, for you?
It has never happened, actually. Yeah.
Right. It always shows up. Exactly. So we just have to. And here's the dichotomy of it all. The more we trust it, the more trustworthy it is. So it's really all about us trusting the universe. Once we trust the universe, it says, okay, I'm here to play. How can I help?
Really cool. Yeah.
See this? Look, the sun's coming up on my face. See it? Woo! It's I guess just 8 o'clock here in the morning, so the sun's just coming up over the horizon.
Wow, I can imagine how beautiful it is to be outside. And for our listeners that can't see us, that are not watching on YouTube, Greg is actually outside. And the sun is just rising now, and the atmosphere there is so beautiful that the birds are singing that you can hear, but it's such a beautiful atmosphere. Maybe you should jump on my website and on georgianbenta.com and see the interview and see how beautiful it is where Greg is right now. It's really beautiful. But getting back to our interview, is there anything that you do consistently that helps you be a more grateful person, Greg?
So getting out in nature is one of them. The cool thing is I work at my house. And so, if I'm sitting at my desk, putzing along, doing whatever I'm doing, if I want to go out, I get on my bare feet and walk around the yard and pull weeds. We always have a plethora of weeds here. So that's one thing. Heidi and I have so she's a yoga teacher, a full-time yoga teacher. So she doesn't work full-time out of the house. So she'll go to a yoga class and come home. And so our banter back and forth, really keeps me grateful as well. Another thing that happens, the work that I do brings on gratitude from people that is mind-blowing sometimes. So recently I had an event here at the Urban Farm, and there were about 50 people here. We were learning how to prune trees, and somebody left an envelope behind, and it was a thank you card thanking me for the great work that I do. And this is, this is not really uh, that unnormal. I get a lot of emails and that kind of stuff, but this was a handwritten note, and inside of it was $100 bill.
Wow.
And she just said, thank you for all the great work you're doing, and keep it up. I appreciate it. So again, that's the prosperity and the gratitude of it all. It just compounds itself and does it more and more and more.
This is so beautiful. Wow. Yeah, I can imagine how you felt. Because from my experience, there are two kinds of appreciation that
Mm-hmm.
we desire, like the emotional appreciation that people see us, that people um, appreciate us for who we are, but
Mm-hmm.
also from a professional standpoint, we yearn to be appreciated financially also, to see that
Yes.
people appreciate our work and what we do, but also appreciate it, showing appreciation by giving us the reward, the financial reward that we deserve.
Yeah.
And I think this is really beautiful that you received both of them in a
Yes.
single letter. Yeah.
Thanks.
This is so cool. So way to go. It's really great that people are appreciating you and they're appreciating your work. And I think this is has a lot to do with the fact that you are a grateful person, and I
Yeah.
think that you attract this kind of
Right.
situation.
It builds on itself and builds on itself. It's so fun to watch, actually. Too bad. Here's the other thing. Too bad I'm 55 and, just discovered this in my 50s. Too bad I couldn't have discovered it in my 20s.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking, what would you tell your younger self? Because there are people that are younger that are listening to us.
Yeah.
Younger than you, maybe older than me, but
Yeah.
um, and I think that this is a way to inspire them uh, to learn from what you would have loved to know
Yeah.
back in the day, like 10 years or 20 years before.
Yeah.
And I think this can be really valuable for the ones listening to us. um, I know that you mentioned your wife,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have other people also that you are grateful for and that you would like to mention?
Absolutely. I have 3 or 4 friends that I've known for decades. My friend Bill, I've known him since 1979, coming up on 40 years. And my buddy Jim, I've known him for 25 years. And those are they're both successful businessmen here in town. And my friend Leah, who I've known for 25 years, she's a successful businesswoman here in town. And they're my go-to people. Um, when I get kicked, when I'm not feeling so great, when things aren't perfect, they're my go-to people that I ring up and say, hey, what's the deal here? So yeah, that's a really important thing, to have a good support crew around you that knows who you are. See, that's the thing that often our friends and family are keeping us stuck, and they're not necessarily, they like us the way we are. They like the normality of it, and they want to keep us where we're at, and they don't necessarily see that they're holding us back. So I have people in my life that look for my greatness and call me to be greater, and I think that's that's a real important piece.
Yeah, and this is wonderful to have such people around, and it's beautiful that you found people that also have the kind of time. Like business people usually are very busy, and it's beautiful that you have people that are also on their own path, like you
Yeah,
are, and that also have the time to invest in the relationships, because
yeah,
one of the most important things that we think about when it comes to being grateful are the relationships that we have.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
they make
absolutely.
us grateful and um, appreciative of the world that we're living in and everything around. All right. So, do you have some books that you want to
Ah.
recommend on this aspect?
Yeah. So there's one book that changed my life forever. It's about a gorilla. So it's a work of fiction. The gorilla is the teacher, and it's called Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. And it is an absolutely amazing book on our culture and how we came to be as our culture. And it's a powerful book. So I would highly recommend that. In fact, I live my life by what I call Ishmaelian or Quinian philosophy now, because Daniel Quinn wrote the book, and he's got 14 books out. I've read them all, and it's really about how we can live more effectively, more lovingly on the planet, and um, yeah, like that. And then there's another thing that I've studied for over 20 years, actually over 25 years now, called permaculture, permaculture. And so the Permaculture Designer's Manual or Introduction to Permaculture or Gaia's Garden is another great book on permaculture and how to integrate permaculture. Basically, I like to call permaculture the art and science of working with nature. So how do we plug in and work with nature rather than what we human beings do, which is work against nature? In fact, I wrote this in 1996. I couldn't believe it. This is 20 years ago. I wrote this quote. Our downfall, okay, so I'll be right up front. It's a little bit morose, but it's poignant, and it makes a really good point. Our downfall as a species is that we're arrogant enough to think we can control Mother Nature and stupid enough to think it's our job. So that's, for me, working with nature is really, how do we work in the flow? In fact, I use this metaphor all the time. We as human beings fight nature all the way. And so it's like, you ever been tubing down a river? You start at the top of the river, or boating down a river. If you go floating down a river, they start
No,
at the top
yeah.
they start at the top of the river and they float down river. Okay? So that's my metaphor for nature. Right? And we're smart enough to think about, as human beings, to think about floating down river, in our boats or in our tubes. But from a metaphorical perspective, we as human beings, we like to start at the bottom and fight our way upstream with nature. And as my buddy and late friend Toby Hemingway says, nature always bats last. Nature's always going to win. Stop fighting it.
That's so true. That's so true, and really inspiring. I think that working with nature is something that's really beautiful and helps us go with the flow of nature.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yes.
that's what I also want to ask you. How is it? What do you feel when you work with nature? When you work in your garden, what is it that you feel when you do that?
So I've meditated for a very long time. Let me put it this way. The sun's in my eyes, so you'll have to put up with a shadow on my face.
No problem.
Wow. All right, there we go. It's gone as fast as it was there. What did you ask me?
Yeah, no problem. So, what do you feel when you work with nature? When you work in your garden?
Great. So I've meditated or attempted to meditate for many, many decades. Sometimes I do what I consider a good job, and sometimes not. What I found is that me digging in the yard, planting plants, being with nature is really my meditation. My mind doesn't wander a lot. It's just, I get out in the garden and I do some work, and magic happens. It's really cool.
That's wonderful. And I think that not having a really big place in which you need to work on your plants and everything helps also, because it shouldn't get to be a chore, right? Like something that
Right.
you must do,
Right.
and something that's really hard. And
Yeah. Oh, I don't have any must-dos in my life anymore for the most part. I mean, I got to do my books on a monthly basis and, but those aren't must-dos. That's just part of business. But yeah, I don't do must-dos. Not interested.
That's beautiful. So, do you have a final message for our listeners on gratitude? On what's your view and has been your experience, and what you would like to share about gratitude?
Mm, um, just, I think I've said it all. Choose it every day. Be happy. Feel it down to your toes. Literally stand there and feel gratitude in your body and see what happens. It's magical.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Greg, for being with us and for sharing your wisdom. It has been incredible. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.